Hello and welcome to the second midweek episode of That Made Your List, a weekly podcast where an average, ordinary film fan, me, lists my top 5 films in a genre or subject chosen by the listeners. This week, the subject for me to give said list on is gangster films. Okay, before we move into these, I have a fondness for mafia, gangster films. They make up a big chunk of my top 10 all-time films, obviously including the 5 that I'm going to bring up here. Also, though, some that I really do like, some honourable mentions who didn't quite make the list. 2005's Departed. I'm not going to go too far into it. I mentioned it last week in the best remakes. Just a truly brilliant remake, obviously, of Infernal Affairs, but yeah. 1997's Donnie Brasco, starring Johnny Depp. True story. That was a really good one. 1987's Untouchables. Obviously, a great cast on there of Costner, Sean Connery, Robert De Niro playing Al Pacino, Andy Garcia, young Andy Garcia. Really good. I remember that with the pram bouncing down the steps of Grand Central Street Station with a shootout going on, and really good. French Connection, 1971 film, Gene Hackman, Roy Schneider. I don't know. I never know how to pronounce that. In from Jaws. One of the most iconic car chases of all time, when he's going underneath and he's following the subway train to get to where he's supposed to be. And then the last one on these honourable mentions, 1990s Miller's Crossing. Coen brothers, the film that Gabriel Byrne is playing both sides and facing one gang off against the other. So that's my honourable mentions, not the ones that's in my top 5. As I say, these are obviously all subjective. These are my opinions of them. If you don't agree with something I've said, don't agree that a film should be there or should be higher up or should be lower up, please let me know. In the post that shared of this episode, put a comment in there. There's a Facebook page, That Made Your List on Facebook. Get onto there, write me a post, let me know I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I don't mind. I have absolutely no problem with a healthy debate about films. I love talking films, as you could probably tell by the podcast. We're also on Twitter at That Made Your. So yeah, again, fire it on there. Fire me a tweet out. Tell me I'm wrong, or tell me I'm right. I mean, I usually am. Well, that's my opinion anyway, obviously. Okay, anyway, moving on. So the top 5 gangster films. 4 out of the 5 are going to be recognised as the 4 best in my. Obviously, I think so. But I'd imagine there's only the order that they come in that people are going to disagree with this. Number 5, the same as last week's remake. I've thrown in a little bit of a curveball. It's a personal movie that I particularly like. 1990s, The Craze. Obviously based on the real life London gangsters of Ronnie and Reggie Kray. And whereas with the recent one with Tom Hardy, where they've CG'd him and it's 2 Tom Hardys, this was actual real life twin brothers, Gary and Martin Kemp, who were at the time they were part of Spandau Ballet, which were a massive 80s band. But yeah, Gary and Martin Kemp played the titular brothers. It's a hard-hitting, it's a graphically violent portrayal of the brothers that didn't shy away from the homosexuality aspect of it or the extreme violence that they used. I remember one scene quite near the beginning where they've just taken over a snooker hall as being their own, paid the brothers empty, they paid their owner off, there you go, this is ours now, we'll get these little darlings back. Next thing you see, they're playing snooker, a couple of guys having a go at them. Next thing you know, one of them's on their back on the snooker table, and then a massive sword of a dagger pushed through the palm of this guy's hand, and you see the claret coming down the end of blood. Yeah, it's yeah, it was a really, really, really good film. It was really brutal. The guy, their main rival in the film, George Cornwall, was played by, oh my god, I can't remember his name now. That he was in Beverly Hills Cop. He was Maitland in Beverly Hills Cop, and it was the Lieutenant Colonel in Rambo First Blood Part 2. Oh god, what's his name? Oh, I can't remember. He's gone. But yeah, that's the craze. It's Billy Whitelaw. Has got a load of. There's not many that you'll recognise as being top Hollywood stars, as you were. It was very much a British production. The director hadn't really done much since, or even is still working. He's mainly a TV episode director. One episode of a series here, an episode of a series there. But yeah, it's as I say, might not to everyone be one of the top 5, but it's a film that if you like the Hardy version Legend, which came out last year, or was it the year before? Last year, yeah. Then this one is I'd definitely say is well worth a watch. Yeah. Okay, moving on then. We've got, excuse me, quick drink. This drink this week is sponsored by Cherries and Berries drink. Yeah, there you go. Okay, number 4. This is where we're starting to start getting people going, how can this only be at number 4, or how is this on your list, and blah blah blah. Number 4, 1995. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Sharon Stone, James Woods. It's Casino. It's Scorsese's Vegas epic. He landed Sharon Stone an Oscar nomination for Best Actress. It's obviously it's the story of De Niro's Ace Rothstein, who was sent to Vegas by the mob to run the Tangiers casino nightclub, and everything's going fine. He's running the casino, making a lot of money. Then Joe Pesci turns up and goes all Pesci on him. Pesci. Oh, I don't know with the pronunciation. I just go what I know. Yeah, Joe Pesci's Nicky turns up and starts making waves and making things difficult for Rothstein and falling out with him, and then obviously De Niro's falling in love with Sharon Stone's Ginger, and Nicky starts making moves on her when their relationship is falling apart. Yeah, really, really good film. I mean, I can't remember how much the budget was, but one thing I do know, they had $1 million just on the budget for clothing. Okay, during the film, De Niro had 70 different outfits. Sharon Stone only had 40. $1 million just on clothes, and by all accounts, I think De Niro and Stone kept the outfits afterwards. It's the way you go. Keep your suits, keep your dresses. It's not a film for the faint-hearted. Not so much the violence. The violence is not so much in this one. Although there is one scene in particular that will turn your stomach. More for the language. I mean, the F-bomb is dropped 435 times in this film. 435 times. 2.5 times a minute. That's a hell of a lot. I mean, it held the record at one point. It was beaten by God, what was it beaten by? I don't know. I know the record is Wolf of Wall Street at the moment, has it for nearly 600 times. But yeah, there we go. I love the film. I mean, I love Vegas anyway, and anything that's old timey Vegas that pulls into it. They used to do the shooting actually in the Tangiers casino, and it was only they used to film between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. so they could not interfere with actual gambling going on. But at the same time, they brought extra people in by advertising on the outside. Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone, James Wood in Martin Scorsese's Casino shooting here just to get people through the door, so there's more extras, as it were, without having to pay them in the casino, running around doing the business. as I say, a great film, a film I own, a film I've watched many times. Only beaten on this list by three other films that, in my opinion, are near perfection, especially in the genre, near perfection. In at three is 1990 Goodfellas. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I know a lot of people, this is their number one, or at least their number two. Directed again by Scorsese, and again, it come back again, or should I say previous to, his Casino was 95, so this came out before it. It's starring De Niro and Pesci during this time, with Ray Liotta and Lorraine Bracco as Henry and Karen Hill. It's the story of Henry Hill, and it is from a young kid, how he's impressed with the mob, always wants to be a mobster, flash suit, and his dad gives him a smack and tells him to do one. Based on the book Wise Guy. It's won Joe Pesci his only Oscar win. He was also nominated that year for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Editing. It's a hell of a film. It really is. Interestingly though, Al Pacino was offered De Niro's role, but turned down because he didn't want to be typecast as a gangster. And then went and took the role in Dick Tracy of that god awful whatever it was. Yeah, but yeah, mistake there. Ray Liotta, to be in the film, turned down the role of Harvey Dent in 1989's Batman, which went eventually to Billy D. Williams, who those that no, but there's Lando from Empire Strikes Back and Return. It's a hell of a film, hell of a film. Stacked full of quotable and memorable lines and scenes. None more so than Joe Pesci's fantastic in the bar. There's "Am I funny to you?" scene. Do I make you laugh? And busting your balls. I'm only busting your balls. And where's your shoe shine box? And bang, that's it. He's done. He's gone. He's out of here. The opening tracking shot though stands out to me right from the very start. Bang, you're straight in there. You're following the POV view as you're going from the outside through the back door, through the kitchen. Everyone's hi, yeah, how you doing? Through out the doors into there. Hi, how you doing? Table taken straight to the front, and there you go, bang, straight in there. And you're right. It's one continuous shot from the outside all the way through the kitchen, through the back, and out onto the floor. Fantastic piece of cinema work at the time. Yeah, again, it's these get the 4 out of the 5 on here were really, really difficult to get in the right order. The films, choosing the 4 films, the 4 out of 5, the 5th one I always like to throw a little bit of a curveball in, as I said, but 4 out of the 5 were easy to name but difficult to order. Goodfellas in at number 3. It's the realism in it was just fantastic. I always remember the stories again of Henry Hill before it was there. I'm sure it was him, or was it? I'm pretty sure it was Henry Hill. De Niro used to ring him up and ask him how his character in real life, how he had held cigarettes, and he wanted to get the realism so good that he just immersed himself in that role so much. Yeah, another great one. Which brings us on to number 2. Now 2 and 1. Oh god, I had such difficulty splitting up 1 and 2 here. They are almost one long epic film, and in fact, when it got released on VHS for the first time, they did have it as one long epic film. They're so difficult. It's the Godfather films, unless you didn't realise what I was talking about. They are so difficult to split for me I've got them both here, and if in doubt, go with the one that came first. I say as the top. So in at number 2 is 1974's Godfather Part 2. Set 7 years after the ending of Part 1. It's got brilliant. When it came out with 2 different story threads that were woven together. A young Vito Corleone leaving Sicily after his mum is killed, and you see De Niro then play him as the young adult, and he gaining influence in the neighbourhood. Trivia facts: De Niro and Brando were the first actors to win an Oscar for taking over another Oscar winner's role. If that makes any sense? Yeah? Brando won the Oscar for Vito Corleone in part 1, and in part 2 De Niro won Best Supporting Actor for playing Vito Corleone in part 2, so they played the same. But yeah, I'm sure you know it. You're smart people. You must be smart people. You listen to me rambling on about films week in, week out, so can't be too bad. And all the while that we have these little almost cut scenes of young Vito, we flash forward in time to Michael Corleone as he's gathering his influence, and he's already in charge of the family, but he's getting more and more influence and more power, getting senators on board, sweeping away the trouble with the prostitutes, and dealing with an FBI investigation because Frank Pantangeli he's gone to the feds. He's going to quote, and so he brings his brother in from Sicily just to sit there in the courtroom. He says, "One look at him." He says, "I didn't know nothing. Yeah, I didn't." Oh, sorry, terrible stereotypical Italian accent there. But yeah, it's a damn near perfect film. It really is. It's taking his, as he moved over to Cuba to try and invest in Cuba just as the revolution comes in, so he has to get out of there in a hurry, and he realises that it was Guido that's betrayed him the whole time. And yeah, it's won 6 Oscars when it first came out. Best Picture, it was the first sequel to win a Best Picture award. The Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, which was, there's a bit of controversy over there, because the only part of the film that was adapted screenplay is the young Vito parts. The young Vito parts is the only bit that was in the Godfather book. All the part of Michael Corleone is made up for the film, so there was nothing to be adapted from. It was only the young Vito parts. I mean, De Niro, in a film that's over 3 hours long, De Niro's only in the film for 45 minutes. And yeah, he got best supporting actor nod for it. Best art direction, best music. It's got 5 other nominations as well. It's the heartbreak on Michael's face as he's standing there and he's looking out on the lake, knowing that Guido's gone out fishing and he wants to take his son with him. So no, not this time. And then he goes out with it, and a bang, you hear the shot ring out. Yeah, it's never has there been, I don't think, with Michael Corleone, a more dislikable character, but you always want him to win. You never, you don't like it. He does some absolutely terrible things, atrocious things, but yeah, you never want to see him fail. He is the prototypical anti-hero, beaten only on this list by its predecessor, the prequel, Perfection, with regards to gangster mafia movies. Numero uno, the top dog, big kahuna, top of the list, 1972's The Godfather. Nothing I can say. There's nothing new I can add. that hasn't been said by people smarter, more knowledgeable and actually know stuff about the film industry. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, obviously, based on Mario Puzo's book, based so heavily on Mario Puzo's book that Coppola actually insisted on the title of the film being Mario Puzo's The Godfather. He wanted to make sure that Puzo got all the credit for the storyline for it. There are other books by Puzo that have been made into TV or theatrical movies. The Sicilian, starring Christopher Lambert, is a heavy prequel about the Sicilian Revolution, but that's based in the Godfather universe, the Corleone universe, however you want to put it. The Last Don, which is a TV movie, but again it's based around, and Frank Pantangelo is mentioned in there, and Omerta, which is another Puzo book, has been announced as a Antoine Fuqua possibly directing, with Stallone as the title, as the lead actor. Now that's Fuqua has done some decent stuff. Stallone, I don't think he's ever touched onto mafia films before that I can remember. So I know he's got Copland where he was cops, but there's gangsters and whatnot floating around him, but I don't think he's ever touched an Italian American like he is. I mean, he's got the accent, he's got the look to be a mob boss. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I've read all the books that are from him. While they don't stand up to the Godfather, they're good stories. I enjoyed them anyway. Godfather Part 1, it won less Oscars than Part 2. This one won 3 with 8 nominations. But this film set the template for all gangster mafia films that followed. It really did. It's copied almost to buggery with it. Been lampooned in spoofs. Brando, what he was trying to get into the role for, obviously stuffing his cheeks with cotton wool, and ended up with a dental implant put on there, which is in a museum in Queens somewhere. Another film with iconic scenes and lines in it. The horse's head in the film producer's bed. It's an actual horse's head. I mean, animal rights were protesting like mad, but he got the horse's head from a pet food factory that was nearby. They were slaughtering 200 horses a day. He took a head for the production. The obviously the most famous line, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse," was voted number 2 in the top 100 cinema quotes of all time, behind only "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." As I said, there's nothing that I can add. I've mentioned it before in the full That Made Your List episodes. I saw them when the first time I saw 1 and 2 intercutting that VHS mix where it's all chronological. So I'll have to watch it again to see which way I work. I think I really enjoyed watching it chronological, because you get a more of a flavour of where they've come from the whole time. I'll leave the last word on it to another great director, Stanley Kubrick, who says it's possibly the best cast ever, and possibly the best film ever made. Admittedly, on my all time, it's only number 2, but it's number 2 beyond The Usual Suspects, who's not a gangster. It's not a gangster film; it's a crime film. That's why it's not on this list. Else I'd be causing some serious uproar by putting it above it. I don't class it as a gangster film. I class it as a crime, which is different. Yeah. And we are done. There we go. This my top 5 gangster films. If you agree with me, or especially if you don't, comment on the various ways that on the post that you see. You'll see me share this episode out onto Facebook and onto Twitter and on the page and on the various Facebook groups that I'm part of with trivia leagues and everything. Comment on the post. Let me know I'm wrong. Join the Facebook page. Please join the Facebook page. 23 members at the moment. Let's see if on the back of this, let's see if I can get to 25. Yeah, do me a favour. You like the podcast? Hit the share button. Share it out onto your timeline. Let new people know about it. Yeah, who might not necessarily be as into films as you, but like them and maybe like the gangster movies. Push them towards it. Give it a share. See if I can get up to 25 likes on this page before they start the weekend with another new full one. So yeah, we've got the Facebook page. We're also on Twitter at That Made Your, like I said before. The podcast is on Podbean and iTunes, so please do subscribe and rate and review. The rating and reviewing is the most important part, because when I do that, the iTunes pay more attention to me. I can actually get feedback of who listens what and who switches off when and who's what listening to it on certain devices, and it's just stuff so I can figure out in my head what I need to do better. That's been That Made Your List Midweeks. I will see you at the weekend with another full episode.